Okay, I believe that we are live. We're just trying to get things up and going here. I'm going to make sure that we're up. I'm trying to monitor that at the same time. We'll wait for some people to get on as well. I know there's people that are wanting to get on and ask some questions. So let's see. There we go. Yes, we are live. We've had a couple of people join already.
Okay, I believe
I need to turn this
that we are.
One second. There we go. Okay, and guys, if you're watching on Facebook Live, give me a thumbs up or some kind of comment so I know we're working today. We had some technology problems yesterday. Looks like there's a few people watching already. We're going to allow for some time for some people to get on. We just sent out some notifications. We're having some technology issues yesterday. Looks like Jordan joined, so that's good. Give us a comment, guys, so that we know you can hear us. Jordan's on, right? And let us know if you can. Trev Lewis is on. Can you guys hear us? Let me know in the comments. We got 10 people already on here, so this is good, but it seems to be working. I'm going to start the Instagram live in a second here as well. Yeah, so keep commenting in, guys, as you join, so I know that everything's working well, so I don't get started and you guys can't hear us or something. And then I'm going to start up the Instagram live, and we're making good on time here, as it is. I'm going to start Instagram live right now. We got Jordan and Trevor on.
Jordan
Verderami.
Oh, Verderami. Yeah, okay, good.
I think I turned the volume down on this other one, but it should be able to hear us over here. Let me oh, they can hear us. Okay, good. I think the comments are a little bit delayed from my voice, but that's fine. I can bring them up as they come in, the questions and comments. We have a couple people joining us on Instagram too. Kat Reyes is on, Isaac Faulkner's on. Hey guys. And let us know that you can hear us as well, and the questions you have. I'm going to be monitoring Facebook comments as well as do the best I can to monitor the Instagram comments. Louis Macias is on here. One of the Geringers on, Joseph Allison's mom. So we got a bunch of people joining us in here, which is awesome. Guys, like I said, I'm going to be monitoring the comments section to bring up questions when I can with Coach Darren. But we'll get started. So Darren, first of all, obviously we have some players and families on that know you a little bit, but we'll also have a lot of people watching and people watching the replays that don't. Darren is the director of player development with the Junior Reign Hockey Club. He is originally from Canada, from Alberta, Canada, grew up playing there and played at the collegiate level there as well. He's also been coaching at the tier level for almost a decade of AAA and AA levels. He serves on the CAHA and SCAHA select camp evaluation committees, where he's evaluating top players to move on to the next level of district camps and USA Hockey national level camps. And he's worked with a lot of elite players. He's really overall in their development. He also, his son has also moved on to the junior levels, which has given him the Junior Reign NAHL, which has given him a great experience with kind of the whole process of moving on to junior hockey and collegiate hockey, a personal experience with kind of going through that and meeting the coaches and talking to a lot of people in that world as well, learning a lot about how that works in today's game. But it also really has become an expert in skating. He's taken a big interest in skating from a technical and scientific standpoint over the past several years, worked with some great skating coaches, and also now has worked with a lot of elite players, even at the professional levels, on their skating because of his kind of deep interest and desire into really perfecting and getting to know the science and studying it. And it's just a great resource for our club to have. It's been a great resource for the families and players. And I wanted to have him on today to share a little bit about, why he's so passionate about that, and then some of the specific techniques and strategies and information that the players and families can use to become better skaters. We all know skating is, the most important skill, really. A lot of people, a lot of coaches will tell you, especially today's fast game. And I want to give you guys some tips on some specific things, and also address some myths that really it's changed over the past years. Sports science has told us some different things. So I think Coach Darren will be able to tell us some things to avoid as well that'll really help us become better skaters. So long introduction there, Darren, long-winded to get people on here, but thanks for joining us. We really appreciate having you on.
All right. Thanks, Ben. And hey, welcome guys on short notice. I appreciate everybody coming on. The good news is most of you I know well. So you can hear me okay, Ben?
Yeah. I got Ben Hampton on now too, just joined us.
Oh, perfect. So hey, I'll give you a little background because I want you to know a little bit about me and why I have interest in this place. I grew up in Canada, as Ben mentioned, and I got to tell you, Canada hockey's not a sport. They joke about it. It's a religion. And I think, actually, I joke around sometimes. I say, if you cut me, you'd see blood. But if you got really close, you'd see little hockey sticks and pucks and skates inside my platelets in my blood, because hockey's through and through with inside of me, kind of part of what I grew up with and what I enjoy the most. And in my free time, I think hockey. I watch hockey. I analyze hockey because I come from a bit of a scientific brain. And so when I was a kid, I kind of grew up, and the era that I grew up in was a little bit different. But there were standout players to me that came along, and they revolutionized the game. Those players were guys like Bobby Orr, Gilbert Perreault, Paul Coffey, Mario Lemieux, Pavel Bure, Valery Harlamov, and you might not know him. He was a Russian player, but he changed the game. And every one of these guys had something unique in common. They were first and foremost great skaters. They changed the game because of what they could do on the ice and how they could create opportunities. So stick handling was important, shooting was important, but what I saw was skating was paramount in my mind. And I'd follow them. I'd try to emulate their skating as best I could, but it was really hard because we had no instructors. I grew up in an era where there was nobody doing privates, no instruction, no technical sort of training. But I kept it in the back of my head. I always thought that the most important thing that we do different than any other sport is skating. So why not get good at skating? And then having my own son, I guess my second sort of introduction into the skating world was having my own son playing hockey. And he was a good player. He was, played at a probably what I call basic level. So here's the good news for everybody here. My son didn't grow up with gold in his feet. He grew up kind of clunky and slow. And he wasn't the fastest skater. He was good. He had no ability, though, which I saw, no ability to turn or change, which means that he couldn't come down the ice and change directions quickly. He was stuck in a straight line. He could go north as fast as just about anybody, but he had no ability to cut or maneuver. He had very little ability to slow down. He was fast. And there's a couple of guys on this call that I know are very, very fast forward. But I think what efficiency and effectiveness makes you is when you have the ability to deviate from that path, all with speed, and change speeds as we go. So in today's world, let's sort of take it into perspective. In today's world, we have skaters like Connor McDavid, Matt Barzal, Nathan McKinnon, Taylor Hall, Nikita Kucherov, Patrick Kane, Draisaitl. These are all great skaters. It's what sets them apart. And we're going to analyze this a little bit in coming from a scientific side. But going back to my son, Matt, and I was taking him and we'd go to a couple on ice skating, and he was improving, but not what I call anything massively. And one day I got together with a guy named Kelly Askew who put Matt on the treadmill. And literally within 3 weeks, I saw a transformation. And it's not like Matt was 15. So just know it only happened 4 years ago. And you guys, some of you know Matt, some of you have seen him, and he's a good skater. But it didn't happen by accident. And what I saw Kelly doing was the ability to slow him into a place where he could focus on the technical side of his skating. And Kelly wasn't, I call the most, he couldn't relate the technical, but what he did do is he showed me he had an eye for certain things. And it was to start from the top of the head all the way down to the toes. Everything had to be in balance. And I'm going to say this, if you look at all those skaters I've talked about, from the great elite skaters, they have this ability to control tempo, control game, and it's an important part of what they do. And I'm going to use an example of Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon comes down, and everybody knows on this call, when you watch Nathan MacKinnon, what do you know? Explosive. And I give you this sort of slap of the hands because everybody plays off Nathan MacKinnon. But one of his great attributes is his ability to deviate side to side or slow it down so he creates space in front of people so fast, and that's called deceleration, which is not often talked about because we're really focused on explosiveness. So I started to go a little bit deeper into this whole skating dynamic. And, you know, people try to tell me why Connor McDavid's fast, but I kind of now sort of got it upon myself. I believe that it's something different that they do. And it's not just their God-given talent that they're fast. They've worked on it and they've developed it. It's a combination. And so I had many years ago watched a sports science program that was based on Michael Phelps. And if any of you don't know, Michael Phelps ended up winning 29 medals. 23 of those medals were gold. It's a crazy number. He's the most decorated athlete ever in the Olympics. And it's not only that he was a good swimmer and fast, but he wasn't the biggest guy. He wasn't the strongest guy. He didn't have the highest VO2 levels. They tested him in so many areas. What he had was hydrodynamics, which means the ability to move through the water with such efficiency. And I use that term efficiency, and that's part of what we do as skaters. He moved with such efficiency through the water that it allowed him to do things that helped him accelerate when he needed to and conserve energy for that finish. Because a lot of his races, if you watch, he blew them away within the last 20 meters. This is what changed him. And they watched the aerodynamics of him. His feet were perfect. His hands were perfect from start to finish. Everything was in sync. And what they said was it didn't change. It didn't deviate from the start of the race to the end of the race. That there's something special in this. So I'm going to talk about a lot of things, and especially because we are at home because of the coronavirus, I'm going to talk about the things you need to do off ice. What's going to happen when you come down this road and you get another situation, and who knows how long this goes, but you can't go to the rink and go skating, right? This is not what's happening right now. You don't have the ability to do that. So I'm going to give you guys some feedback. And what I'd like to do, Ben, is maybe we can, maybe before I jump in there, I'm going to touch on one last thing. I get to talk to a lot of college coaches, a lot of junior coaches, and yes, it's been part of a combination. I can tell you that the combination is that Junior Reign or AAA program has allowed me to talk to coaches and have conversation at a very high level. But having Matt being at this level, USHL, NAHL, BCHL, Matt went to a lot of camps and got a lot of invites and college coaches. And I got to get a little deeper into this thing, something that I probably wouldn't have been able to do just as a coach. And I can tell you that there's a lot of things that coaches tell me. Number one, they tell me is give me speed. I want speed, fast, 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 fast. But I'm going to tell you that can be misinterpreted. Because I told you before, Matt had the ability to go fast, but he couldn't deviate, he couldn't change directions, and he couldn't decelerate, which is what makes Nathan MacKinnon, Patrick Kane, Johnny Gaudreau so effective, is they are tricky. It's deception. And so what they're really saying is they want the ability of kids to move at speed, skate with speed, and make decisions with speed. And let me tell you what speed can do. Speed allows you to make better decisions because you create more time. So hopefully all this stuff is going into, it makes sense. And now let's just go down this road and analyze the skating technique. What is happening with these fast skaters that they have in common? So Ben, are you able to put up that article from Hockey News?
Yes. Let's do that.
And I'll just give a little introduction. So if you look at all the elite players and we look at all the top scorers and everything else that's happening in the elite world of hockey, one of the things that they say is that there's something that's unique, and it's really, they are all good skaters. So they started to break it down even more. And they said, what do all the elite skaters have? Excuse me. And the chances are that you're looking at, and here's the word, biomechanics. That is what that sports science talked about with Michael Phelps. He had unbelievable biomechanics that allowed him for hydrodynamics. And this is where we look at the skater itself. And even if you look at this picture of Nathan MacKinnon, there are a lot of things that he's showing right here in his stride, but you've got to look at something that's really important right now. Watch what he's doing with that right leg of his. It's extending outwards, not back. It is an outward push on his stride. And look at the edge he's got. He virtually has his skate touching the ice. That's how much edge he really gets. Oh, gee, guys, how does that make sense? We're skating on a very thin, it's a fraction, an eighth of an inch wide blade. We're skating on an eighth of an inch wide blade, and yet you're going to go to a single edge of that blade because it's a hollow core blade. Well, I'm going to tell you, that is a secret. And that's one of the things that we're doing. Also, look at where his hands are. His hands are in front of him, and his body weight is well over the center, which is where the puck is in this picture, over the center of his body. His shoulders, his chest, his head is still at center, and his weight is well in balance. This is a critical spot. So maybe if you scroll down, Ben, we can go into this conversation a bit more.
I'm going to share the link for this article and stuff as well in the comments.
Yep.
And I'm trying to put some key points into the comments as well.
So I'm just going to brief over this. So they're talking about all the fast skaters, and I've mentioned them already: Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Taylor Hall, and they talk about Kendall Coyne, Anthony Greco. I saw Anthony Greco. He was at a camp that Matt went to. Wow, was he fast? It's impressive. But the reality is that they are, I talked to Greco's dad, they are taught. There is a technical side of it that helped them. You may be blessed with speed, but one of the things you have to do is to be able to bring it all into an over body, the entire body. So it's a holistic approach. And that's why I say this off season is the perfect place for you guys to focus in on areas. So you can scroll right down. They talk about Pierre Pagé. I watched all Pierre Pagé in his era. Nope, not that far. Ben, go back up if you can. Just go where it says right there, stride. So let's talk about it. And there's the highlights of what's going on. A stride, a wider skating stride is more effective than a narrower one. Why is this more effective? They say, watch the footage of the fastest skaters working their magic, and you'll see how far apart their legs are compared to the slower skaters. The difference was actually several inches apart. Wow, wide stance. Well, let me get into the wide stance for a second, because this is one of the drivers for me as well. As a coach, I have two things that I want to do. I want to help educate kids to help them develop to the highest level, but also I believe I have a safety component involved. And I've already done this with a few of you guys. One of the most important things is stability. And this also plays into the game of hockey. So if you think about it from common sense, if you're a skater and you've been a traditional skater and you start thinking about it, oh my, if I go to a wide stance, how am I going to generate power? Because I can't get enough leg action in there. Well, this is part of the trick, and we'll get to it. But from a stability standpoint, you are far more stable and less likely to get knocked off your feet, less likely for injury, but more likely to make that final pass that you need to make, or the final shot, or the final stick handle. So the legs should be pushing out side to side. with a deep knee bend before push off to generate more power. Faster skaters have deeper flexion angles than lower skaters. Flexion are all those places in your body. I'm going to tell you how far it goes from your toes, every joint in your toes, your ankles, your heels, your knees, your hips, your back. Everything is in play. Those flexion points are like shock absorbers in your legs. It's soft. And if you watch all the great skaters, they have a comfort on the ice. I call it a little bit like poetry in motion. It's a dance. And this is what's going to be important. And now when we finish, I'm going to talk about why off-season matters. What we do in the off-season is going to help strengthen you in all these areas. And I know it for a fact because as Matt, my own son, started to put more time into developing strength, explosiveness, he did become faster and faster on the ice. So scroll down a bit more, Ben. Now we get into things like trunk angle. And I want you guys to be a little bit aware on the trunk angle. There is something that happens with fast skaters. They have a lean, but please don't lean too far that you cannot see the puck. Your head still has to be up. And if you look at the picture with Kendall, her head's up. She has a lean, but it's not excessive. And you'll see that they talk about it almost has a falling forward and catching yourself, but I'm still going to put it this way. You still have to be in balance because I'm going to talk about something, and this is where we're going to get to. The research has also shown greater hip extension during acceleration and greater abduction during striding. I will get to those 2 points at the very end because hip extension is an abductor act, but your adductors, which is another part of your muscle in your leg, have to be engaged. It allows you to do both. So now scroll down a bit more, Ben. Arms. This was particularly fascinating, he said, because he really hadn't thought about it. So for a lot of you guys that are already doing treadmill with me, I ask you this because I'm only there to try to correct a habit. A lot of you are using a front-back motion, hands moving forward, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. But it's important that your hands move side to side, so I force you to put 2 hands on your stick for the very reason because it's an automatic. You cannot cheat the system as soon as you put 2 hands on your stick. Now you got to control those hands. So let's read on. The most efficient technique is for the arms to move side to side when skating, not back and forth. Dr. Braco brought up the Newton's third law of motion for this aspect. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So think about it. If your skates, which they talk about skating and striding out to the side or moving out to the side, but your hands are moving forward and back, you're out of sync. You are not developing a proper stride. So the arms are working with the legs when skating, and those are to be moved side to side. And when they do, they generate 37% more force. So 2 hands on stick. And if you go watch the NHL today, go watch the highlights of all the recent NHL games, you will see players are doing 2 hands on stick. 2 hands, and they talk about abduct and adduct. Oh, it's showing up again. I'll explain it at the very end. But 2 hands on stick. Connor McDavid doesn't have 2 hands on stick, but look at his arm movement and look at that skate blade pushing to the side on his left foot. And that toe snap is low to the ground. It is, low to the ice. It is not being lifted up into a high lift motion. Think about this. If Connor McDavid got hit in this stance right now, would he be able to withstand the hit? Probably, because he's got a foot ready to be planted close to the ice. And look at where his hands are going. His elbow comes out to the side in his skate. He's a left-handed guy. His hands are out to the side, and his right hand is tucking in, almost like he's ready to grab his stick. This is this is the hand motion going side to side. Scroll down a bit more, Ben, please. Now recovery. So you can leave it, scroll up a bit so that we still see Connor McDavid, because this is going to be the other one. If you look now, Connor McDavid is skating down the ice, and it could be the angle a little bit, but if you look, his feet do not come to center. His feet come at shoulders. So let's see about what they say about recovery. A quick recovery after push-off is a major factor in speed, and the skate should not land under the midline of the body. This is a big reason, guys, people are off balance. And if you start losing balance too quickly, you need to look at how you stride. And it probably goes without saying a high stride rate is necessary too. Of course, speed and stride speed is important, but I also say is how much power does one person generate in each stride? So if you guys have been with me on treadmill and I talk about that, you do not have to speed up your feet to accelerate power, because Connor McDavid fools everybody when he's just coming along and he looks like he's going slow, but really he's about to accelerate, and all it is the edge. Now let's just go to Connor McDavid for a second before we move on. I'll talk about Connor McDavid. If you've ever watched him, so Connor McDavid, a lot of people think you got to be big and strong to be a fast skater. No way, bud. No way. Is Connor McDavid the biggest guy on the ice? Nope. Is he the heaviest, strongest guy? Nope. He bench presses normal on his team. Is he fast? Yeah, he's got pretty fast footwork, but is he the fastest guy? Nope. So there are a lot of things that come in. How come he's so fast on the ice? And I'm going to tell you the secret is in everything that we talked about, but the one last piece of the formula is going to be in his edge work. He knows his edges so well. I can show video of him in the future where he is virtually so far leaning that he could put his hand down on the ice when he's doing crossovers. That's how much edge he gets. And that was like that first picture that we saw here with Nathan McKinnon. His extension outward is on a single edge of that hollow core sharpen. That single edge is what you're going to drive your power on. So that kind of sets us up for where we are here, Ben, for this article. And I don't know if we want to take any questions, but maybe what I do is move on from there and just talk about what we do in the off season and what's important in terms.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I've been trying to share with people the key points as you go along here on the Facebook comments. We've got a lot of people liking, giving thumbs up and things like that. We've had a bunch more of join as well. Logan Berger and Nathan Russell, and but maybe you could go into the next piece.
We're going to talk about. I said to you guys, one of the most important things that you should do is off ice training, and some guys take it serious and some guys don't. But I'm going to talk about some things in off ice training. One is going to be muscular, but everybody thinks that the muscles you work on are the big muscles. So let's say we're working quads and we want to just keep working those quads. Well, we forget a large part of the body and the legs. So Ben, can you put up that picture I sent you today with the muscular composition of the legs?
Yes, I'm going to share. Here it is.
And while we're at it, I'm going to talk about a couple things. Good. So if you can see this, guys, we're talking about muscles within the legs. Yes, your quads are important, but think about something. If we're changing our stride, yes, there's a pushback that's involved. It's not totally out to the side. And I'll talk about the physics of this in a second. But if you think about it, there is something more we need to work on, which all hockey players need to work on. And what I get the most common feedback about is what I call hip tightness or glute tightness, because your glutes are always engaged. So we do need to get to that stretch, and I'll get into that in a second. But if you look at the muscular, there are two things that are shown on here. One is called abductors, and the other one is adductors. The abductors are on the outside of your legs. When you skate and you're pushing outwards, those abductors allow you to push back so that when you complete, they're pushing out. There's pressure on that outside of the leg that's being developed. And we don't even talk about it. Nobody really talks about this, but it's one of the most important muscles that you as a skater will have. But the most important muscle is the adductor. That's the inside of your groin, that green area there. It runs right through your groins to the top of your hips. Now, this is an important one because the adductors are that power component. And it improves muscular imbalances. And what we get to as we get down here is going to be the one I'm going to talk about, is your stabilizing muscles. Stabilizers are more like the tendons and everything else that run through your body. But if you look at everything in that muscular that you see on here, it's a little bit like going to school, guys. There has to be something that connects it. And everything connects within the knees, the hips, the ankles, the toes. This is where it connects. It's all connectivity within the joints. Therefore, you must create stronger stabilizing muscles in those areas. So number one challenge for you guys is to do as much balance work in the off season that you can do. Sorry, did you say something, Ben?
No, sorry, the volume just came on for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is to do balance work as much as possible. We will send out, I don't know if the videos have gone out, we're setting some off-season training. I always recommend half BOSU ball for all of your training. Even watching TV, playing video games, get into the habit of standing on a half BOSU or a BOSU ball. I can show you videos of Matthew standing on a BOSU ball, stick handling and shooting on a full BOSU. But reality is he didn't get there by accident. He worked on it from the lower ones. And there were times we were in a hotel room and we didn't have a half BOSU. We would just take a couple of sofa cushions and stack them up. And he'd go stand on this thing and fight for balance. I'm telling you guys, this is a critical because it's all the hidden strength areas that will help you in those tough battle moments when you're one-on-one with a player battling for a puck, or you're trying to make that shot and you've got contact on you at the same time. This is going to give you that extra strength. And it's going to help you improve on your abductors and adductors because they're also big on the stabilizing side of your body. So you strengthen the adductors. So to strengthen adductors, I'm going to recommend you take a pillow, big pillows, little pillows. You put that in between your legs and your knees and you start squeezing tight. And you do it as far as you can until it burns. And I'm going to tell you guys, I would even suggest if you got 2 or 3 pillows, start with your legs as wide as you could get them and then try to squeeze these things because you've got to get flexibility in this place as well. So now we work on the inside. That's that pressure point and pushing inwards with the adductors. Abductor exercises are a little bit harder. That's where we lay down on the floor on our side and we do almost like the dog peeing lift of the leg and you start opening up your legs as you lay on the floor. The other one we do is why I'm a big fan of tension bands or any kind of band that will help put some resistance into your body. Often those tension bands are at the ankles. I recommend as well that you move it towards the thigh. And so you're working more specifically the abductors. And when it's down near the bottom, if you look at that little piece at the ankle, I can't even read it. The soleca at the bottom, just on the outside of your calves. That's another muscle that'll be working when you work that ankle more. So resistance band training is important, and that's what they're saying here. So please start working on your resistance band training, doing as many exercises. I don't even care if you're doing overhead lifts with your arms, like doing dumbbells overhead or doing curls. Do them on the balance ball. I'm telling you, it will bring you great results. So that's number one. Now, the other things we want to, and those videos, have they started going out, Ben?
Yeah, so just yesterday, guys, thanks for everyone's patience. We've been figuring out all the technology. Just yesterday, we started sending out the workouts. Matt's been doing a demonstration of some of the at-home workouts that you can do. Started with some basic ones yesterday. We're going to be putting those together and sharing them to Facebook and Instagram with the at-home workouts, and they're also going to be sent out with our daily email summary recap of them. And we're going to archive them all into one spot where you can go in and see them all there.
Perfect.
On YouTube.
So, and we will do different levels, guys. We've got kids, and there's some that are on the phone that are younger, under 12 years old, please don't do heavy weights. We're going to, and really, 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 really important that you do this balance work at your age. You're going to build up strength, which will allow you when you get into the weights to be that much stronger, but more aligned. It's an alignment thing. So that's going to be part of the strength. So we're doing strength. We'll also do some exercises that are power based. So let's just talk about what makes a fast skater. And I told you that there's certain things that happen, and we've got an acronym we call SPEED, but I'll give you the sort of what I call the skating three majors that I want you to think about. One of them is explosiveness. That's the ability to take off from a standing start. So the ways that we do that would be box jumps, hopping up. And even if you do this, I want you to even consider box jumps onto a sofa surface or the top of your bed. If you got a high bed, you got a high enough ceiling, yeah, tell mom and dad, coach says it's okay to jump on the bed, because I want you to get that big bounce and land on that soft surface. Why is the soft surface also important? Because balance is in, you're in a resistance place. You've got stress on the joints that you're going to try to be building up at the same time. So jump up from the floor, hop up onto the bed, power. And this is important, or a sofa. Stack those cushions, do explosiveness upwards. That allows for that flexion point in your ankles to engage. There'll be things you can do, single leg ones to do. You alternate legs and try to get explosive. Do not do stuff against a hard surface. If you miss, you'll scrape the front of your shins, which would be lousy. I prefer you do something. That's why I say, hey, talk to your mom and dad. If you can jump up on the sofa, you can jump up on the bed, do it, right? No shoes, please. But you know, you do it for your own benefit. And that explosive is number one. The other thing that we want to do is what we call horizontal. Horizontal exercises are everything we do like a short sprint. So for today, instead of doing the long runs, what I'd like you to focus on is doing short sprints to create what we call that ability to get to top speed. Connor McDavid has unbelievable explosiveness. That's what allows him to get the break. But he also has something that sets him apart as well. Nathan McKinnon as well. They get to top speed faster than almost anybody on the ice. Their top speed can be measured in a short period of time. They have all kinds of ways to measure it with guns and everything. And they see how quickly to get to top speed. And that's going to be what you do when you do horizontal. That's across. So I say all you need to do is a 10-yard distance, short burst sprints. The 10-yard distance that I say short burst sprints is you do it, and it will only take you like 5 seconds, but you keep doing it, but you take your time. You give yourself a minute between each one because you want to be as powerful in each one. And you can time yourself. You can click it on your watch, click it on your phone as you're doing your sprints. Figure it out what you're doing, how fast are you becoming. Now, to add a certain degree of difficulty, which is a combination between explosive and acceleration, is to do this on a hill, inclines. Now, they will also be 10 yards. You will sprint up a hill, 10 yards. You stop, you take a minute rest, you walk down, keep the legs loose. Try to do these sprints 10, 12 times, 15 times, but don't go more. You're not here to exhaust yourself. You're here to build up explosiveness in your body. The last thing is going to be what we call connectivity exercises. Connectivity exercises are footwork. If you ever look up, and maybe we can send some videos where we're doing side to side footwork, and it's done on the dry land where you're hopping over sticks and you're doing things. Connectivity is the ability of the feet and hands to work in conjunction. So you stick handle a ball and you're leaping side to side, or you're doing quick footwork where your feet are in, your crossover comes in front or your crossover comes behind. But we're going to work on things that will help you put this all together. It's connectivity of muscle. So there's muscle memory that's going on while we're doing this. And this becomes one of the important aspects of hockey. It's that ability. And if you ever wonder why you lose the puck when you go to your backhand from a forehand, and all of a sudden you go to make a quick move and you lose the puck, it has a lot to do with connectivity. And it may not even be in your hands. If you understand this, it could even be in something that I say to everybody all the time: transfer the weight. It is an impossibility, guys, I'm going to tell you, because of biomechanics, to do certain things if your body isn't connected to whatever you're doing. So if that backhand is a problem, that's the area you work on. And we'll get into those drills. I'll have Matt do some of those drills here. What we needed to do was set the drills into what I call simplicity. And then as you progress, there are going to be things you start to put into this. The connectivity comes with the stick handle. Start with fast feet. Start doing things with your feet being able to move. This is going to be a little more aerobic, not entirely. I don't want you going 15 minutes, but as far as you can, you'd be stick handling. And there's lots of stick handling drills that we do in here, and it's all progressional. Get efficient at doing the little things well. There's no badge of honor by doing the very top one, but doing it lousy to get there. My truth is the badge of honor is when you do and you master the simple ones first, cupping the puck, a wide stick handle, toe drags. That's when you get to the higher levels because your hands have to get stronger. So we work on that. And when we come to hand strength, I believe this is one of the most critical things we do in hockey. And the way to do it, I'm going to tell you guys, I've talked about wrist rollers with some of you. I'll say it again and I'll say it again. You cannot stop working on those forearms. They are critical for that shot, that quick release shot. And you watch any player today, they're not talking about it, but they're all doing it. They're working on grippers and they're doing wrist rollers. And those wrist rollers allow you to go up and down and allow you to stick handle. You must do both directions against moving the wrist roller up toward the body and the wrist roller down away from the body. And you've got to be almost equally set for both. Now that's kind of a snapshot. And inside of this snapshot, I haven't even really talked about skating because we haven't got into that skating yet. But what I think we can do is maybe get into the skating side of things next time when we can show skating videos and things that we're talking about. And I can even show treadmill video that we can get into and that can be explained. One of the reasons I love the treadmill, guys, is because now I can isolate areas on your body. I can see what needs to be worked on. I've seen it, and you guys know it. You have a left leg dominant, a right leg dominant, or you might not be able to get much flexion in your ankles on your left side for whatever reason. And we get to work on it, which helps you balance the body and allow you, and I made that mention, all of a sudden you can't go from forehand to backhand. And guess what? Maybe that's the flexion in your ankle. And maybe that's what's going to help you get there. So there's transfer weight, flexion points. And I get to isolate it on the treadmill, which allows me to take and be very specific. And some of you on the phone that are here have had me on treadmill, and you know sometimes I'm a stickler. So here's one of the things. If you do treadmill with me, I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a pain in the rear. I like repeating myself. I like doing the same thing over for your benefit because you've never mastered anything until you get really good at the first thing. And you building block to the next thing and the building block to the next thing. And we build it up. And for some of you like that are on the phone, I know was it Ellison that's on the phone or Wilson or?
Yeah, we got a bunch of folks on here.
So some of these younger guys, like honestly, guys,
Mindy, Anna Engel's on, and Shane Scott.
Yeah. So for all you young guys, I'm going to say something. Be happy with something. There are two things that are going to happen when you do treadmill or something like that. You will become more efficient. You will become faster. But in order to get there, we have to get through the basics. There is no way I could take you from addition in school and take you to calculus in the same afternoon. There's no way. What happens, it's a progression over time. The same happens on the treadmill. But I'm going to tell you something, and here's the bottom line for everybody that's on this phone to never forget. All the best athletes have experienced something, all the best in the world, and it's called the burn. You will burn. It'll be in your muscles, but soon the burn will be your friend. The burn is knowing you're working something and you're working past a pain threshold. That pain threshold is what puts all the best players into the elite. I'm not talking pain where you have knee joint pain or ankle pain or anything. I'm talking muscular pain. And sometimes it'll be tight. but you're going to have to figure it out, stretch through these things, hot baths, massages, work yourself through this because you're working on areas that you're not accustomed to working on. But that burn becomes your friend. And all the best athletes experience the burn. And it's not just once. I remember watching an interview with Ovechkin, and they asked him the question about the burn, and he said, every day. He burns every day. On the ice, off the ice, he burns. Well, that's why he's one of the best, and maybe one of the best goal scorers ever to touch the ice. So there's things that come out of this. And yes, you'll experience it. So encouragement from there.
Awesome. Well, that's great stuff, Darren. I got a ton of points and little takeaways, things that people can do at home, as well as some specific stuff about their skating technique and stride. Got a lot of engagement. I think, like you said, maybe we can schedule a part 2 where we can continue on with some specific things. People, whether you're watching live or on the replay, you can comment in if there's some specific questions or specific things that you want us to address for an additional a future live call. We're right about the top of the hour here, so we'll close off soon. We have a few comments that Dale Boucher says treadmill is a great workout. Mindy Engel says they love the treadmill and they've seen so much improvement over 2 years of training. So some stuff there. I think you talked a little bit about that, Darren, about that tool, about how great it is for you as a coach to be able to work with players on their skating because you're able to focus in so much and be right there and get real technical on it. We can talk more about that.
Yeah. Can I just touch on that real quick when I'm saying this? So everybody's got to understand, when I'm on the ice, I can't see what leg's working better than the other leg. I can't even tell you on the ice whether your body is centered over top your skates. I can't tell you that because there's too much going on. And I've got to move with you. In the treadmill, everything is right in front of me and we get to work together on this. And that's what makes the difference. And plus, there's only so much room on the ice. You go to the far end, you're there, and who knows, right? At least a treadmill, I can keep that consistent.
For sure. Great. Well, we already have some people saying they'd love to see a part 2, so we'll schedule that maybe for next week, and we'll take your questions. And feel free to add things in on this thread, whether you're watching even as a replay. Like I said, add things that you'd love to see addressed, and we can kind of plan for that. We have a question. Will there be a package of off-ice workouts that can be used in the coming weeks? Yeah, we are putting together stuff that's going to be sent out each day as we're working on with workouts. The videos are organized into, first they were just posted as individual exercises. Now we're packaging them into a workout that can be done. It's usually just a couple-minute video, but then it tells you how many reps. You can do series of reps and sets of them. So they turn into a pretty good workout at home, and we'll be sharing more of those almost every day. I think Darren, with you and Matt, have already put together 32 workouts. I think that we've been putting.
Close to 100. Okay,
close to 100. Well, we have 32 ready. I think that are ready.
We're gonna guys. So just to answer that, we'll have a ton, guys. You're going to be able to take this for the rest of your life. And I do enough research on this. I talk to trainers all over the world. There's all of these exercises are awesome. And if you could be somewhat self-motivated, and I say there's some things that we talk about as a club, and I'm going to say, here's my little pitch to you guys. When Matt was around 12 or 13, he came to my wife and I and said, hey, Mom, Dad, here's what I'm going to do. And I want to be a professional hockey player. I want to play college hockey. I want to do this. And my wife and I had seen him over the years, and he works hard, but, we kind of thought very little of him saying this, that we didn't think he would be committed to it over a period of time. And he was. From that day forward, it's been amazing. But he wrote down all the workouts he would do, the kind of training he would do. And I'm telling you guys, he put it in a calendar. He put it beside his bed. And every day he would do his little check off. Oh, I finished it today. I finished it that day. And even when he was in school, he had homework. Some nights when he was in high school, he had homework going on till late. And we'd be hearing him in his room working out. We could hear the grunts and the groans as he's doing push-ups and sit-ups and exercises. So if you get consistent, you will benefit. The consistency is important.
Awesome. And then Garen, we had another question come through just about said Kat would love to try the treadmill as a goalie. We haven't addressed it actually. Treadmill can be actually great for goaltenders as well. We didn't mention that.
Yeah, I think I have 3 or 4 goalies on Cat that I do treadmill with, and one of the things that I think is really important is if I use this concept that you become a bigger threat when you're a good skater as a goalie. So if I use this, my demonstration, snap, forward, snap, back. If you watch the great goalies and the Pekka Rennies, the Marc-Andre Fleuries, and these guys fool the skater because they're such good skaters. They shoot up and they snap back and they're able to be more mobile. So we work a lot of C cuts, which is the primary side. Well, we do C cuts with our skaters, and this is how you get that toe snap. So I'm telling you, it works. You become stronger, and I think the biggest upside is your ability to be a little more grounded in your shot and receiving shots on goal too. It's more stability.
Awesome. Great. Well, we definitely looks like we have a lot of requests for more info on part 2, so we'll work on that. I have a message in here from Scott emphasizing, this is a live I did before, that this seems like it's a challenging time. Maybe we can't get to the rink and we can't go play hockey with our friends, but it is a time of opportunity. Exactly. And I did a live about this early in the week or last week, that this is a chance when other people may be sitting around getting out of shape to come back stronger than ever. Work on your off ice condition, strength and conditioning. Make sure you're doing the right things. So reach out for advice. Watch lives like this with us. We're going to be giving you guys a tremendous amount of information to follow to make sure that you're not just working hard, but you're working on the right things. And then let us know your questions and things that come up. We got Jason Roloff says that Caden really enjoyed this, and the treadmill burn, they saw huge improvement in his skating over the last few months of the season. So thank you, Darren. That's awesome. And we'll have more to come, guys. In the meantime, Darren, if people have specific questions, you guys can put them here on our social, but how can someone get in touch with you, Darren, if they have questions about their player, skater, or even, about the treadmill and things like that in the future? Is it just best to email you?
Yeah, just email me is fine. Some of you have my personal contact number. It's 206-953-1500. That's my cell. And so my role within the organization is a little bit different because I'm player development. I get to watch kids, and guys, just know I'm watching you from mites all the way up to that 18 AAA and beyond juniors. I watch some of our guys that graduated out of our club. We have 5 kids that are playing junior hockey, 1 in the BCHL, 1 in the USHL, 3 in the NAHL. I get to watch them all, and I get to see how they've developed. And one of the things I do see with every one of them, and I call this is the ability to make good decisions under pressure. And good skaters make good decisions under pressure because they can get their way out of a bad situation. And that's one of the pluses.
Great. Okay. Well, we're over time here. We'll wrap up, but thanks so much, Darren, for all the time he spent and the amount of detail you went breaking down skating and stuff. I know we've worked together for a long time, but I learned some stuff today too, which is awesome. So thanks again. We'll do this again soon.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.